Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube channel. You join us a couple of minutes, maybe 5 or so minutes after the draw has been made in the UEFA Group Stage Champions League in Monaco. Celtic have been paired alongside Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, and Lazio in Group E of the competition. Tony, where do you start with it? I think it could have been a lot worse than what it was.
Where we start with it is we were all sweating that they were going to get Group C, Napoli, Real Madrid, and Celtic, and another. I was getting some DMs saying, "Tony, you better not have jinxed it with a Napoli shout." But there you go. But no, there's a group there. You wanted Feyenoord from the top pot, didn't you? Got previous with both Atletico Madrid and Lazio. So
Absolutely.
bring it on. That's what I say.
Yeah.
And on you go.
Yeah, I think the one word you could use to describe this group is it's tasty. It's very, very tasty. You know, there's history between Celtic and Lazio and Celtic and Atletico Madrid. You know, there's a good relationship between the two teams at Celtic and Feyenoord, so that should be a good sort of rivalry going on. But you know, it's a tie that I think Celtic could do a job in. You know, especially at home. Those are games that maybe it's more akin to a Europa League draw. I would say this group. It's one of the draws that looks more like a Europa League, and I think you'll see tomorrow in the Europa League there'll be some groups that look like lower end Champions League groups. That's the territory. But Group E, I don't think Celtic could have got much better or much. It's definitely a favourable draw for Celtic.
Listen, you're feeling that you have dodged a bullet with this group, haven't you?
Yeah,
And there's still some
absolutely.
high caliber teams in there, but I include Celtic in that high caliber teams. And you look at that, and it's a group you can battle in, isn't it? You can claim scalps there. You immediately are looking at that and thinking, I'm not writing anything off, especially at home. The key to qualifying in any section is you're going to have to take something on your travels. Celtic have been to Lazio recently and beat Lazio home and away, so you don't have to delve into. You only need to delve into the recent past to show you that it can be done. First win ever on Italian soil with Neil Lennon under Neil Lennon. So, listen, Feyenoord was the one you wanted from the first pot. Feyenoord, so they got Feyenoord, obviously in 1970 and all that, and Atletico Madrid 1974 and all that. Those who are slightly older than me will remember the terrible treatment of Jimmy Johnson. They also played Atletico Madrid in 1985 as well, didn't they? In Europe. So yeah, some good teams there, but I think Ryan, Celtic can be in the mix if they get in about that group, and winning your home games is going to be absolutely crucial in this. And yeah, but you look at those home ties and you think they're all doable, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I would say out of those three teams, Atletico have started like a house on fire in La Liga this season. They're scoring lots and lots of goals, playing probably the most attacking brand of football I've seen under a Diego Simeone side. So it's going to be interesting to come up against them. We're going to get the likes of Antoine Griezmann, Memphis Depay coming to Celtic Park, you know, big names. But I think in terms of a great tie all in, you can look no further than Celtic Feyenoord and then Feyenoord v Celtic. The two of those games are going to be absolutely brilliant. You know, Feyenoord are a really good team. They're the team that finished above PSV, who were so impressive last night. So if that's any indication, you see how good the PSV are, then Feyenoord are going to be a really good side to come up against. But Celtic should fear nobody in this group, I don't think.
No,
Lazio have not started the season well under Maurizio Sarri whatsoever. They've got a bit of an ageing team. Ciro Immobile is not getting any younger. We know how good he is from the past, but Celtic have won there before. They've won away from home and at home in the Europa League. That's why I'm saying it's like a Europa League draw.
yeah, I,
And yeah, very
I look,
excited. I'm excited.
yeah, I look at it and I think it's the most favourable draw Celtic have ever had in the Champions League. Is it not? It's you,
Yeah,
you're not. It doesn't frighten you, does it? You think if Celtic can turn up and play on the European stage, then you've got a fighting chance in every one of those games. Again, I go back to the key is going to be your away form, but certainly at home, you get more than a fighting chance in those games. Yep, you're mentioning teams that haven't started their season well couple of comments coming in saying that Celtic haven't started the season well. Get that too, but it'll just be a totally different mindset when you go into that Champions League arena. And yeah, it's everything to play for there. You're in a fight for second and third there, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Second or third, or you never even know what way. I'm not going to say that Celtic are going to finish first in a group, but we've seen in a sort of in an even group last season, a team like Club Brugge finishing first in their group. These anomalies happen in these groups. The teams take points off each other. Feyenoord, Lazio, Atletico Madrid will get points taken off them. They blow hot and cold a lot when they're playing, especially under Simeone. They can have good seasons and then really bad seasons. They can have that within a game as well, as can any of those teams. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these teams take points off each other. As long as Celtic are there or thereabouts, and they can get as much points as they can in their home games, maybe sneaking away win against Feyenoord or Lazio, then they should be well in the driving seat to at least get Europe after Christmas. But it's a very, very exciting group, a very historic group too. It's one for the romanticists, I would say, the Champions League.
It doesn't fill you with dread, does it? Let's be honest.
None of those fixtures do, apart from Atletico away.
Yeah, you look at that and it's as good as it could have got. At one point, you're shaping up to be in was it Napoli, Real Madrid, and Dortmund?
Oh my God!
What was that? The group? What Group C was it? I think.
No, Napoli, Madrid, Braga, Berlin.
Sorry.
And what was the group that you were saying? Man City, Leipzig, Red Star Young Boys. No, yeah. Group F, I think you mean. PSG, Dortmund, Milan, Newcastle.
Right, I wasn't paying particular attention until Celtic came out, but I just knew Napoli and Real Madrid were in a group, and Celtic could have got flung in that. So I was at one point the DMs were coming through saying, I don't want Napoli. I don't want Napoli, Tony. You've jinxed it.
Yeah, I think I'll go and see Naples out with a match day.
Yeah. Well, there's always next year. You know what I mean? So
that's it. Absolutely.
I'll keep dreaming on that one. But you know what? I think you look at that, second or third is definitely doable. And I don't think I've ever said that about a Celtic Champions League game without the caveat that it will be, extremely difficult. And I know this will be difficult as it gets, but I just think the Celtic have got a real chance, and if Brendan Rodgers can get that team together and start producing some kind of form, you can go into that and you can give it a rip, can't you? And really see where it takes you, and maybe take that next step in Europe, make that impact in the European scene that you want to do.
Yeah, do you maybe think that this will change the way that Celtic do their business in the last couple of days of the window? Do you think that maybe they'll realise we could get something from this group, whether that be third place, maybe even second place, and they change accordingly? Or do you think they'll just keep the same mindset and the same targets that they're going for? I know that Bernardo seems to be in Glasgow just now.
Having a medical,
he's doing his medical. That seems to be as good as done, basically.
Phillips is done, isn't it? Nat Phillips is done.
Yeah, Phillips has been announced. He was announced earlier on today. So it looks like it's taking shape really, really nicely. But just out of those games, Tony, what would be the ideal away trip for you out of those three teams that remain? Obviously, Celtic being the fourth team, and in the fourth pot, would you say that Feyenoord's maybe the standout one, or would you just say Atletico? Or Rome as well, and Lazio.
I've been to the Atletico Madrid. I was there with Aberdeen when they played Atletico Madrid, so I've been there, as they say. So I would take either Lazio or Feyenoord. I like Italy. I've got to be honest. I've always been kind of fond of Italy. So Lazio Olympic Stadium in Rome, I think, would be a great. A wonderful trip, and obviously Celtic have got recent previous, and I think it was one of the most joyous European trips, wasn't it? Rome, yeah. For once, Celtic, they came, they saw, they conquered. So tremendous. But either of those trips would be great. I mean, they keep Feyenoord has a long history as well with Celtic in terms of the European Cup. Everybody talks about the 1970. Well, they don't talk about the 1970 final. It's kind of been airbrushed from history a bit, doesn't it? And it's, as I said earlier this morning, it's something that always irks me when I think about Celtic and I wasn't even born. So
That's when
but
you know
yeah,
it's real.
yeah, correct. That's when it gets you. But I think I've got to be honest. I let out a kind of shriek of joy when Celtic were put in that group. Just kind of gave it your beauty. That'll do it, and I ran up the stairs
Is
because I
it-
knew we were coming on here to talk about it. So, and the rest of the group was unfolding. I hadn't really looked at any other group. I was just kind of staring blankly at the screen, just waiting for Celtic to come out because it's like everything else. You can only support one team. You're interested in other teams, and I knew Napoli and Real Madrid were in a group. Couldn't have told you anything else. I was just transfixed on when the Celtic ball was going to come out. As soon as I
You're
saw it, I belted up the stairs.
two of your football loves in Celtic and Maradona were in full focus there for that
They were,
Champions League
yeah,
draw.
yeah, of course, yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and I did message you halfway through saying I
You
hope we don't
did.
go to Naples because I'm quite sick of the sight of Real Madrid, especially with that new look midfield that they've got, and well they're kind of without a striker at this moment in time or a recognised proper striker, but that midfield is definitely something to behold. Yeah, I think we were all delighted when Group H didn't come out of the hat as well. You got your Barcelona, well, although Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar, Celtic could still get third, but I think out of the two of those groups, Group E was definitely the one that Celtic fans would have wanted in terms of maybe if you didn't want the glamour ties, there is still a bit of glamour in those games, but there's no, uh, there's no like absolute behemoth in this group apart from maybe if
Mm,
Atletico Madrid keep it up over the
well,
course of a
Celtic,
season.
Atletico Madrid, won from 1974 in the disgraceful treatment of
We're not ones to
Jimmy
hold
Johnston.
grudges.
You, you'll have seen those highlights. Ayala, I think, was the guy's name who just takes Jimmy Johnston out, I think, from the waist down, and it was just. I've watched that footage from Celtic Park, and it's Arthur Montford commentating, and he's perplexed by it all, and there's that great story. Might be apocryphal, it might be true, but that such was the thuggery of the Atletico Madrid players. They drew 0-0 with Celtic 74 European Cup semi-final and put Celtic out over there. And there's that story that the police held some of the Atletico players because they were disgusted with the way they performed to get a 0-0. And Davy Hay and others waded in. Hence the
As you would
quiet
expect.
assassin. Yeah, I believe, in the tunnel was all sorts of shenanigans. They never came to play football. They just bludgeoned their way to that final and looked like they were going to win it. And Bayern Munich scored a late equaliser in the first game, last minute equalised, I think, and then went on to defeat them 4-0 in the replayed final. So, but Celtic, Ruben Ayala, that was a guy's name, yeah,
Mm.
someone, but yeah, you should check the footage out. It's incredible, and the treatment of the greatest Celtic player as voted for the fans, Jimmy Johnston, and Celtic have been waiting a long time. I think, as I say, they played them in '85 as well and lost. I think Celtic, that was after the Rapid Vienna debacle, and Celtic had to play behind closed doors. They got a 1-1 draw in the Calderon, and then they get beat 2-1 at Celtic Park. So I think the law of averages says Celtic owe them, and I would want to give
Mhm.
Atletico Madrid the biggest bloody nose at Celtic Park ever and shove it up Diego Simeone's boys, as they say.
Played them
Because,
before.
yeah,
Maybe in a not so recent history, but in the past, when was that? Was it about 2012, 2011, 2012? I remember Radamel Falcao played for them at that point. I think he scored a free kick or something or a long range goal. That was when Falcao was in his pomp. Really,
decent.
he was, yeah. He's arguably one of my favourite strikers of all time in terms of growing up. He was one of the players that I loved watching. Not maybe the same firepower as
Yeah,
Falcao that they've got now.
I'd forgotten all about that one, to be fair there. You should just get a bit... Yeah, I still want revenge for 74, and I say I was only 2 years old, but I've grown up with that kind of anger still in me about Atletico Madrid. And my father and all that's passed that down. So yeah, Kevin McKenna's the same. I think Atletico Madrid are in a banned list of teams that he hates. Hates a strong word in football, but I don't particularly hate them. I just want to get one over on them, and I'd love to do that in this group. And Yeah, I mean, you look at that, Celtic do have history with them all, so it's great for that
Mm-hmm.
perspective as well. There's some real kind of, you can look back with fondness or not, as the case may be. Lazio certainly fondness, Atletico Madrid certainly not, and Feyenoord just the one that got away type thing in 1970.
Doesn't really get talked about. I
Yeah,
always find
it's
it
kind
quite
of airbrushed from
perplexing.
Celtic's history. Yeah, correct.
And it should be
But
celebrated because a Scottish team getting to 2 European finals. I know they
oh yeah,
got to a third with Seville, but
it's a
you always
wonderful
say
achievement. Yeah.
you want to get to the final and win the final. You always say that, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
totally
of
get that.
course.
But it
Aye,
doesn't.
aye.
I just feel as if that a lot of people don't even know that it happened. Now I might be just presuming things, and people do know about the 1970 um, European Cup final, but it doesn't get talked about nearly enough as it should. Because a final's still a tremendous achievement, regardless if you win or
Oh,
lose. It's definitely something that can be you
without
can be
doubt.
proud of your team.
Yeah, Wim Jansen played against Celtic in that final.
Well,
Who went on
it's
to,
amazing how paths
yeah,
cross like that.
yeah. He was a wonderful player alongside Wim van Hanegem, who played for the great Dutch team of '74. I mean, that was the precursor to total football. Feyenoord winning it, and then Ajax won it 71, 72, and 73. Then Bayern Munich won it 74, 75, 76. So, it's out, Holland 4 times they kept the trophy, 4 years, 70, 71, 72, 73, between Feyenoord and Ajax. And that was a wonderful achievement back then. But then the Dutch football was in the ascendancy. The Dutch national team got to 2 World Cup finals in a row, lost 74 to the host West Germany, lost 78 to the host Argentina. So a rich history there. Dutch football in both club competition and European club competition, and also international level. So it's one of those. I remember writing about it. One of the first things I wrote for the Celtic was about the 1970 final, on that very note that it's not talked about. It's been kind of airbrushed from Celtic's history. And it's a shame because it is a great achievement, but you know what I'm like. You get to a final, you have to win it. It's no stage or platform for losers. So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
I mean, look at the
Leeds,
teams that
yeah,
Celtic beat.
yeah,
Incredible.
Leeds especially. Don Revie's Leeds United were supposed to be
Oh,
invincible and a wonderful team, and Celtic beat them home and away. 1970 in front of 135,000 at Hampden. For
incredible.
100, it's still a record crowd, I believe. Unbelievable. Unbelievable attendance at Ryan when you think about it, and it's
Hmm.
like, what's that, 53 years ago, yeah, and
Hmm.
lots of people in the comment section will have been at that Leeds game, and
That's incredible.
when John Hughes and Bobby Murdoch scored, George Conley scored in the the first leg, Celtic were 1-0 up. Billy Bremner equalised with a screamer, which if the Hampden nets weren't there, would have ended up somewhere in Rutherglen, I think. He just hit the ball with such ferocity. It's a brilliant goal. It's a wonderful strike. That game, it's good that it was a consolation goal in the end up because Celtic come back. But, it's just some wonderful history attached to all of these ties. And if you know your history, it's something to get your teeth into when we're previewing these things. And it's it does make you swell with pride, the fact that Celtic got to a second European final, just gutted that they never won it, but yeah, it's I love that whole kind of historical aspect to this draw in this group. It's and it's also looking at it, it's a doable group. I think Celtic can finish second or third in that group if they get their act together and they bring in some players they've brought in. That's Luis Palma, Nat Phillips, and Paolo Bernardo having a medical, we think, as we speak. I mean, I think everybody would be well chuffed if Celtic produced a left back and a striker on the last day tomorrow of the transfer window. I think everybody would clap their hand at a job well done and a great week. It just shows you how football can change. The attitude, the music, the mood music, as I said, from Sunday and Monday, it's been lifted beyond belief by this draw, by the players coming in. And, I don't think Celtic, you can always handpick a better draw, but you could have handpicked a worse draw than that. And there was a couple of howlers in there that Celtic were glad to avoid. And I said earlier this morning, Ryan, they were due the luck of the draw at some point, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe my hand on the trophy there gave them a wee bit of luck. And as you can see in the background, this is a European Cup replica given to me by John Flanagan and his partner Claire, wonderful members of the Celtic family, who said to me on Champions League draw day, why don't you have that sitting beside you on the pod? And yeah, you kind of feel the weight of history just staring at that. It's a wonderful trophy. Some people in the comment section saying, keep it there, Tony, because it will be staying in Glasgow. And I love that. I love that optimism straight off the bat, Ryan.
And it's not unfounded because everyone's on the same at this point.
Yeah,
everyone's on the same point.
So I love that, and I say to you as well. I didn't really care who we got. You got to be in this. You pit your wits against the greatest clubs on planet football, and I love seeing Celtic's name there. And whenever they mention Celtic in the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco or wherever UEFA have these draws, they always say Celtic, the only Scottish club to win the European Cup Champions League in 1967, and you just sit there, you shake your head, you smile. It just makes you so proud to be a Celtic supporter, because it's gold star for a reason, Ryan. They're a big club for a reason, because they won this trophy with the big ears, and I love that. I just love that, and whenever Celtic are a part of that, it's where you want to be. And I put the tweet out last night. Would the mood music change with those three signings, and possibly Leila Bada extending his deal, Rio Hatate signing his deal? The mood music certainly changed going into Ibrox on Sunday, especially buoyed by the Champions League draw. Those fixtures, Celtic will feel they've got more than a fighting chance in amongst those three.
Yeah, and that is, I think that will be the case. I think the teams will take points off each other. The mood music has changed. It's changed over the past couple of days, just due to a number of things that have happened, both on and off the pitch. You could say, the fact that Celtic were in the group stage, you've got that bit of trepidation when you watch the show, and you're like, what group can Celtic get in? What's the worst case scenario? What's the best? I don't think, now that we talked about that, the sort of fantasy group stage draw earlier on today, but I don't think this is too far away from what Celtic, the best possible outlook for Celtic. This Group E, it's like something that you would choose in a fantasy one, because it's got everything. It's doable fixtures. It's Celtic can get results in this group if they play to their optimum. Plus, it's got a bit of history in it. We've played Feyenoord before in a final. Played Atletico Madrid before. There's history there. There's history between Lazio in terms of recent history. Good teams. They're all good teams. There are no bad teams in the Champions League. That is for certain. You earn your right. You earn your right to play in this competition and be amongst Europe's elite. So, yeah, it's up to Celtic to make a really good job of it, make a good account of themselves, and see where it takes them. Just take it on a game-by-game basis. Teams will take points off each other. I've got no doubt that Feyenoord and Lazio and Atletico Madrid will take points off each other, and it's all about Celtic falling the right end of that. If that's the case, then they might even qualify for the next round. If not, then they might get third place, or if it doesn't work out, they could get fourth place. But that's just the way that these group stages work. I'm just so glad that Celtic are in the final ever iteration of the group stage. You can say that they've contributed in a historical sense to the group stages. The Champions League with some big one-off results. Yes, the knockout ties haven't really been there, but at the same time, it's the final one before they go into the Swiss model. And yeah, let's hope that Celtic can make a good fist of it, basically, because they're there. The confidence has got. They'll get a shot in the arm because of this. I would say they'll get a confidence boost and they'll be ready to go.
They've had shots in the arms all week. Palmer's in, Nat Phillips is in, and what I loved about Nat Phillips was, I loved the fact that he was talking about the fact that Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson were more excited than him about him signing for Celtic. And those two guys have clearly sold the idea of coming to Celtic to him as well, saying there's no better place, because he said he had other offers, but nothing ticked the box as much as Celtic. He's going to play in the Champions League. He's going straight in to play Rangers. Those guys will have told him about the derby and all that, So I love that fact. I love the fact that maybe Brendan Rodgers has made a call to Jurgen Klopp, and he's saying, I've got the very player, I've got the very man, a quality player in Nat Phillips. You can have him if you want, and Celtic have got that done. That's a big plus. You like players to come in and say the right things, and I've always said it that both Andrew Robertson and especially Virgil van Dijk, Celtic made him who he is today, and he never stops. He never stops talking highly of Celtic, and that's wonderful to hear that he's still. Nat Phillips is. Celtic are in for me. Get yourself up there. Don't even think about it. Don't go anywhere else. Get yourself up there. And Nat Phillips has said that's what he did. And it's just been a good couple of news days for Celtic off the field with the signings, and then with the Champions League draw, it's good news draw. It could have been 10 times worse. You were fearing the worst at one point, and to get a draw like that, historically, it's wonderful. Marvellous, but you look at those ties and none of them fill me with trepidation. None of them.
No.
And I look at that and I think that's the best that Celtic could have got, in terms of your feeling about the Champions League draw. Because you're not sitting there going like that, well, we're writing off 3 points against Real Madrid or Napoli straight away. Off the bat, you're thinking Celtic can be as competitive as they can.
Where can Celtic get the first 3 points of the group?
In all of those games, even away. That's the trick, is to get something on your travels, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know that the fixtures haven't been announced yet, or the match days. I mean, you'll know roughly when the match days are going to be, but ideally you're hoping for Celtic to get a home game first, aren't you? Just get off straight off the bat, preferably against Celtic Feyenoord. That'd be a great opening to the group. It's all guesswork at this point.
Yeah, see if they don't, Ryan, then your objective is to take something on your travels and not be behind the 8 ball after game 1. And win it if possible. Win a game on the road. That's been Celtic's Achilles heel in Europe, winning games on the road, taking points on the road. So if it's an away game, we embrace that challenge. I keep talking about, you puff your chest out. You're in the greatest club tournament on earth. You give it a rip. So it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's an away game and it's any of those 3. Celtic are going out to get a result. And that's what you hope. When you hope by the time it swings around, the forums come back. Brendan's got his players in that he wanted, and they're starting to gel, and things are starting from Sunday, that the whole season starts to turn in Celtic's favour. And so I think, that the stage is now set for Celtic to go and do that. Let the Kilmarnock and St Johnstone performances stay in the past. You move forward, and what a stage you've got on Sunday to go out there and perform. And then you look at that, you've got 6 wonderful games to look forward to from September onwards. And I think everybody's excited now. They were looking at it and thinking, we get that group, they would dread it. The dreaded group of death. You sent me the group of death emoji, didn't you? As we were watching the draw. Yeah, and so I think everybody's been buoyed by the events of the past few days. But I have to say, in our defence, Ryan, we've been very positive since Monday about the whole week ahead. Talking about, I think we needed that
Saturday. We needed the Saturday post-match.
Yeah, to get it out your system.
We got it all out of system. Yeah, and Monday we came in. It's the start of a brand new week. Celtic have got a big game at the weekend. They've got the draw beforehand. They've got business to do in the transfer window. They've started to do their business in the transfer window. They've got a decent draw in the Champions League, and now it's just all about going and doing the business at Ibrox on Sunday. They're right. They should be riding the crest of a mini wave, I would say, not a full wave, but a mini one. You should give them enough momentum to just see them through and get them buzzing ahead of the weekend's game, and then
Well,
as
they're
they
on the
say,
they're on the surfboard, Ryan, and they're waiting to ride the wave. See what happens on Sunday. He could come crashing off the board, but they might go surfing USA on Sunday. Here's hoping, and they ride the wave and they take that kind of feel good factor that they get from new faces coming in, and and I've said all week, I'm sure the manager's been working on a style and a formation and a game plan to win at Ibrox on Sunday, not get a draw. I'm talking about win, and I'm sure the players that have come in, even the likes of Nat Phillips today, I'm sure Brendan's been at them even before the deal was concluded and saying, once you sign that dotted, this is the way we're going to play. Get get wised up, get smarted up. You know what I mean?
And you're going to play straight away as well.
Yeah,
Basically,
exactly.
the guys that came in.
So it's I've been trying to keep a tin lid in it, in terms of excitement, but you just can't help but be excited about that group. You can't help but be excited about Sunday. You can't help be excited by the new players coming in. You're desperate to see what Lewis Palmer can bring to the table. Nobody's ever attracted to defenders, are they? In terms of favourite players, it's always creative types, midfield types, or wingers, or goal scorers. But
my favourite ever historical player is Billy McNeil. So I like to be the exception to the rule. But,
okay, I'll give you that one. But
they win championships. Defences win championships, as Michael Jordan said in the NBA. So you do need them.
But I'll settle for Nat Phillips not being a star and doing his job. A kind of Ron Seal job, does exactly what it says in the tin as a central defender on Sunday, and I'll be happy with that, Ryan. So it's I think as I say, all week we've been airing mostly a positive slant with regards to Sunday and positive slant with regards to this, and which is why I brought in my big guest today. The old Champions League trophy, a thing of beauty it is as well. Yes, big ears indeed, big ears. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think people coming in and saying, "Did I watch last Sunday's match?" I did watch last Sunday's match or last Saturday's match. Listen, it's in the past. We move forward. It's gone. Celtic are still top of the table. They're still a point ahead of Rangers, and they can extend that to 4 points. What an incentive that is so early in the season when you're still trying to find form. You can go out there, lay down that marker, as people say. And and knowing full well that you've got the excitement of this wonderful European club competition to come. Can't beat it, right? It's what football life's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, and you've got to be in it, and it's certainly a worse position when Celtic are not in it, and you're watching that Champions League group stage draw. If you are even watching it to begin with, because a lot of people will just turn off because Celtic aren't in it. That's the thing. Celtic's our main focus. I try and be that most of the time, but you need to keep a wee eye on other things going on as well. But when Celtic are involved, it's laser focused. You're checking, seeing what groups could come out, what groups Celtic could go in, what they can't go in. But yeah, really, really exciting. You've got to be in it to win it. Not that I'm saying that Celtic are going to win it, but you've got to take part. And as long as you're there or thereabouts, then I think the fans will be delighted. The 3 massive nights ahead at Celtic Park and 3 big away days as well for the away, the travelling support. It's definitely exciting. It's definitely what we're going to get our teeth stuck into over the next couple of days, both in the morning briefing tomorrow. I'm sure we'll talk more about this, and then our deadline day show at 10 o'clock at night. I don't know what we're going to call it. Celtic Way, I don't know, Unlimited or something like that, or Celtic Way Plus, an extra subscription service. No, I'm only joking. But
guys, that's exactly when we'll need you tomorrow night for a couple of hours. So join us for that. We're having a deadline day special from 10 o'clock to just past midnight to see if Celtic do any kind of late business. But throw your comments up there and we'll talk about a myriad of subjects, because we'll need to fill that 2 hours, won't we, Ryan? So
I think we'll go down memory lane with it as well, and we'll talk about loads of things.
Yeah. So we'd love you to join us, because we can't do it without you. And lots of comments coming in. Over 500 people watching this. 600 at one point. So yeah, listen, we can't thank you enough. I just know everybody's excited. They just want to talk about their team 24/7, and we're glad to be able to let you do that and get your thoughts and stuff. But we'll certainly need you guys tomorrow night when myself and Ryan are across all social media platforms and trying to see what late business is going to be done. But certainly chuffed with the business that Celtic have done so far and are looking to do with Paulo Bernardo. We believe he's in the country and he's having a medical, and with the loan option to buy deal supposedly on the table. So that's excellent. Can't beat that. And as I say, I think I think Celtic supporters would say a left back, a goalkeeper, a striker on deadline day would just be the perfect end to a week that started awfully, but has finished with an absolute flourish. Oh, there's a comment from Bundy. Go on, Ryan, read out, sir.
As a Feyenoord fan, it's great to give our brothers from Celtic FC with the most beautiful shirts in football a warm welcome in the Coop in Rotterdam. That'll be very, very exciting. I think that's the game that I've circled, I'll be honest. I think a game in the Netherlands is going to be absolutely incredible. And two clubs that really do have a great relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Even after, I know they've played in the final, but there's a great more with the fans and maybe with the clubs, but the two fan bases, there has been Feyenoord fans that have been at Celtic games previously in years gone by.
Yeah.
There's been a great relationship between the two sides, and it's good to rekindle that good relationship with a really historic club, much like Celtic, but in Holland as well, or the Netherlands, or whatever they like to get known as more. But yeah, it's Feyenoord, big team in Holland. They are the champions of Dutch football as well, so there'll be no rollovers or whatever, or an easy team to play against. They're going to be difficult. They're a really strong team playing really nice football under Arne Slot, who was linked with the Spurs job before Ange Postecoglou. He turned the job down, and Ange Postecoglou was the next guy to get linked with the job, and he got the job. So it just shows you how the football spheres work and how small the football world is. So many connections. One thing doesn't happen and then the next, and then both teams are affected. Arne Slot stays another season at Feyenoord, and Ange Postecoglou goes away, which brings the return of Brendan Rodgers. But I realise that we could talk all day about this group, but I think we need to we need to sort of proverbially nip it in the bud just now until tomorrow morning, or we will be on till tomorrow morning very probably. Just before we finish off, guys, and I really do appreciate everybody for joining us, especially later on at night. We'll need your help as well tomorrow in that regard as well. But at 497 people just now, even though we're just finishing up, that's absolutely incredible numbers. And if you are interested in everything that we do or anything that we do, if you subscribe to the Celtic Way, you'll be supporting top quality football journalism covering the club you love at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We'll have plenty on the website regarding this draw. Some instant thoughts. I'm presuming Brendan Rodgers will be speaking to the media very soon, so you'll get his thoughts. There's a piece coming out tomorrow from myself talking about the loan system and how Celtic are quite effective in using that, and there'll be plenty of other stories coming in the very near future. And if you are interested, then please give the YouTube channel a subscribe. It's free of charge, absolutely free of charge, and it helps us get out to more people. If you go and subscribe, then you'll be making the audience bigger, and that means a bigger chat room to function in as well. So if you are interested and want to help out the channel a little bit more, if you haven't done so already, then please give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel. Tony, thank you very much for joining me. I realise that this is your day off and you've been on for a total of about an hour and a half talking about Celtic. I really do appreciate that.
That's part for the course, and it's, as I say, it's a 24/7 nature of.
We would probably be doing this
club.
anyway.
Exactly.
To be fair,
yeah, of course. So yeah, it's always a pleasure. You can't get enough of talking about Celtic. They're in the Champions League. What was it Claudio Ranieri famously said? Champions League, dilly ding, dilly dong. Yeah, something like that. I mean, that was his joyful reaction to Leicester being in the Champions League. I always think about that when Celtic are in the Champions League. You can't beat that. So it's we can't get enough of it. Correct. But we'll be back tomorrow morning, and then we'll be back tomorrow night. We hope everyone can join us. Rebel X has promised to make us Coco Ryan to keep us awake tomorrow night. So thanks very much for that. appreciate that. So there you go. But yeah, listen, it's been a good week. Hopefully, it can get better, can't it?
Yeah, there's always room for improvement, I would say, and let's hope that Celtic can keep the good times coming, because it feels like there's been a real upturn in the past 4 or 5 days. I can feel it. Things are getting better slowly but surely.
And
Let's
I
hope
just
it
want
gets to a massive crescendo on Sunday.
I just wanted to say thanks again to John Flanagan for, I mean, that's just a thing of beauty. And he gave me a loan of it for the podcast for today for the Champions League draw. We saw it in the morning and we've seen it today. So I thank you very much, John, and his partner Claire, for being so kind. And, you know, just an extension of the Celtic family. You can't beat it, Ryan. What can you say to that? Very humbling and very respectful, and a wonderful gesture.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much to John Flanagan for even giving you a loan of that just for a couple of days. It's really added to the videos that we've completed so far, and I think everybody in the comment section's enjoyed it as well. It's a great showing of Celtic's history, and you know, it's you can never forget it. It's always written in the history books. It's always going to be there, and we always need to talk about it, because you can never take these things for granted. It's a massive, massive achievement, and I think it gets even bigger with every passing year. But we could talk about that all day. I'm going to end up. I'm going to end off the stream now, because you know it's 7:20. We need some time to recharge our batteries before tomorrow's morning briefing. But thank you everybody for joining us. If you are interested, then please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the website. £4 for 4 months. If you are interested, it would really, really help us. Thank you to everybody for watching. As I've already said, I'm at risk of repeating myself here, but yeah, we'll speak to you all tomorrow morning and then tomorrow night. Cheers, guys, and see you all later.